Welcome to the Balancing Act. I'm Montel Williams. Today, we're going to learn how one organization is helping those who need it the most. Absolutely. Well, look, every individual, regardless of their abilities or disabilities or different abilities, deserve an opportunity to be happy and live a productive life. And our society has come a really long way in affording them that opportunity, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And joining us today is Dr. Charlene Bennett, a true trailblazer in the field of disability rights. Thank you so much, Doc, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you for having me here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Individual Advocacy Group, what it's all about, and, give me a brief overview of the organization and why you got involved in it, why you wanted to do this.
IG was co-founded to provide support for people with disabilities that previously had been shunned away from society. These persons were living in institutions, living in psychiatric hospitals, some folks in homeless shelters, and were those people that society just kind of put and cast aside. This organization was specifically created to give people a second chance, a chance for the best life they could possibly have.
It just drives me crazy to think that some of these people could be discriminated against, people especially who have, intellectual disabilities, behavioral disabilities, or even neurological disabilities. They have a tough time finding a place to live, finding a job, and because of discrimination. Talk to me a little bit about that.
It's really very horrible to see how sometimes human beings treat each other. The life histories of people that come to us are really unbelievably sad. We don't use an attitude of pity, but one of hope, and we're going to make the difference, and we're going to provide those opportunities for people that never were given those chances before.
And it doesn't seem right that we even have to think about people discriminating people who are a little bit different than us, because everybody has something to offer and something to contribute to this society. What does IAG give in terms or do in terms of support for this community?
The first thing we do is we get to know the person. We get to find out what that person has in terms of their own desires to live their best life. We explore, we meet with them, we observe, we meet with families, and based on that, we develop very person-centered plans and provide them with whatever supports they need to help them achieve their dreams and the opportunity to live in a society. So some of those types of supports may be a counselor. People come to us who've had huge situations of abuse, neglect, and other mistreatments. So a counselor to help them work through that trauma is really important. We have people that are specialized in how to support people with more behavioral challenges and how we can teach them other skills to be able to manage and control when they're feeling frustrated. We have a teacher that actually will help persons learn their own daily living skills so they can participate and grow. We have people, I can go on and on, that may not be verbal but can utilize augmentative communication systems. The types of supports are endless based on the humanness of each person and what their strengths are.
Am I wrong to say this, but it seems like now we have a generation of children or people who grew up somewhere on the spectrum, and now it seems there's so many more of them in our community than there were maybe 20 years ago. Or we just didn't pay attention to them 20 years ago, is that right?
Absolutely.
Well, I think we were so fortunate to get an opportunity to go along with IAG. In Chicago, we went up to see you and watch you support an individual and people who needed help. And we were able to film that and take a look at it. I want you to all take a look at this right here. It's really great.
Today we're in the city of Springfield, a central Illinois town. This is where we provide an array of supports and services to people with intellectual disabilities who also may have trauma and complex needs. In this area, we provide people 24-hour intensive staff support. In addition, we provide nursing supports. We have people that need more behavioral health supports. In addition, we offer community integrative supports so people can work. We have people working in customized employment. We offer an array of opportunities in the community. We have people volunteering. We have people that are engaged in their own businesses. Because our viewpoint always has been people have the right to not just receive, but to give. People have the right to be part of society in such a manner that will knock your socks off, because these are folks that in the past society have also perhaps segregated, kept away from society. Also within this location, we provide what we call short-term stabilization crisis homes. So we have been known to support people that have had, when they come to us, hardships and challenges, and through our person-centered planning, we've been able to stabilize. And so now what we do is we offer in Illinois people who are in crisis a place to go where they're surrounded by the best professional and direct support team to get to know who they are, get to figure out what's not working, and help them stabilize so they can go back into a community and live their forever life. What INDGRO does is we listen to their voice. We listen to what that person wants to achieve, what makes that person happy. And then based on that, we have a person-centered team that helps their dreams become reality.
My name is Kelsey Haynes. I've been in INDGRO for 20 years. My experience is real good, happy. When I found out I was coming, I was jumping for joy. It put a smile on my face to know I was coming to a great program. I was in an institution a long time ago. Now I got a personal life and with the right people in my life. If it wasn't for this, I would be somewhere else locked up, and it wasn't being good for me or for nobody else.
My name is Hollis Daniels, and I am a worker for Individual Advocacy Group. I do host family. And I've been with the agency for over 24 years now. Kelsey is part of host family, so he lives with me. We pretty much do all the things that family does together. We take vacations together, we eat together, and we shop together. We talk to people in the community, talk to the neighbors, and everybody loves him in the community. Kelsey had many challenges. He had a lot of built up frustration and anger, but over time, we were able to talk and communicate in ways that he may not have before. A lot of individuals are used to having people come into either their homes or facilities, and then they leave, and then they may come back. But there's no real connection as to how am I supposed to trust you if I see you every now and then you may leave. Before he came to INDGRO, it was a lot of negative things that happened to him, and he's been able to draw away from those negative things and look at where he is today and understand that, hey, I'm able to take vacations, I'm able to travel, I'm able to love, and I actually have a family. I have people that love me now. He's able to be a part of a real family in a real home.
The right people being put in my life at the right time in my life, like Charlene, Hollis. Hollis helped me understand a lot, how to get my feelings out, and people that respect me, and I respect them at the same exact time. INDGRO helped me accomplish a lot of stuff. How to live on my own, how to relate to people. I'm able to travel, see the world, some of everything. It's amazing.
Springfield, Illinois is a wonderful environment. People live in their community. What's exciting is that people that we provide supports to have families in this community, did not want their adult children to be taken away. And also, I would say in Springfield, probably the most impressive component of Springfield is that this is a region of second chances. This region was designed because many people who were living in state institutions had nowhere to go, and we created their homes within this area. This was a choice of the people. This was the choice of parents and siblings whose child or sibling was taken away from them and put in institutions. And when the state was shutting down these places, INDGRO stepped up to create their forever home for the families and for the person. This region is so representative in so many ways of those second chances. In addition, what makes Springfield so special, we also provide short-term stabilization in homes for people. So those individuals that are having difficulties, who have been discharged from other organizations, whose parents are in need, they need help. Psychiatric hospitals may not be the answer, so they come to IAG. We provide them with an array of services and supports to provide them the opportunity to stabilize, gather themselves, learn new things, and then go back to their home environments.
Well, my name is Deborah Rouge. I am the mother and co-guardian of a young man with autism. His name is Daniel Rouge. He's 36 years old. Today, he lives in a very small group home, or a SILA, that is run by Individual Advocacy Group. In the period of time between 2010 and 2014, when he spent almost 4 long years in an institutional setting, it was a pretty miserable existence. Limited access to family, no access to his home community. Dr. Bennett and I had a conversation one cold night in January in a hospital parking lot, and at that time she told me that she was going to help us. And it took some time, but she did. He's almost 10 years in that home, and he's a mile from us. He takes walks with us 3 or 4 times a week. We spend Wednesdays with him, Saturdays with him, Sundays with him. He's happy, he's smiling, he's getting the supports he needs. He has developed a relationship with his staff, who have been, some of them 7 years or longer with him in that time frame. They care for him, he cares for them. It's a life we couldn't have dreamed for him in 2010. And it wouldn't have happened without IAG. It wouldn't.
Back in 1999, we believed that people with disabilities, all types of disabilities, autism, persons with cerebral palsy, persons with intellectual disabilities with dual diagnosis, had the right to live in their own home. Their own home. So we created an array of supports and advocacy to help people lease their own home, and then wrap those folks around with very person-centered, customized services. Most folks never thought that was possible. You had to live in a large group home. You had to live in an institution. We were advocating for people back in the 90s who had significant disabilities. This is your home. You don't have to live under the roof of somebody else. Let's figure out a way for you to have empowerment to live in your own space. And we did it. What's important to IG is that we actually love people, and we have such a deep passion to support people regardless of their backgrounds and histories. It goes so deep. It's such a part of our DNA that we never give up. We keep trying to support people in a way that they're happy with. We believe that everyone has the human rights to live their life the way they choose. IG provides services here in the USA, but we're looking to expand into other countries, especially right now Nigeria. And from there, our hope is to bring the message across the world.
Wow. Are you kidding me? It looks like you guys are really making a difference in people's lives, and especially when it comes to raising awareness and factors where you need to influence some policy changes. You recently made some significant policy changes, right?
Yes.
What were they? Talk
We
about.
challenged the zoning discriminatory practices in a town in the state of Illinois where 3 men had been living in their own home for 3 years. After 3 years, a big sign showed up on their front lawn stating that they needed to get permission to live on the block, that they were not allowed to stay living in their own home, by the way, that they leased with a community landlord. We had to go to zoning, and we had to go to the council. In the holiday season, the council voted to shut down their own home.
That's crazy.
Now just think about us. We have our own home and we're being
Kicked out.
So we filed a federal lawsuit based on the ADA discrimination and housing discrimination. The United States Department of Justice Office of Civil Rights heard about the case and joined our plight.
Recognizing the fact that these people need to be protected, they don't need to be babied, they just need to have an opportunity and a place to live, right?
They have the right to lease a home just like you and I do. And they have the right to live on the block in a neighborhood just like we do. And the discrimination issue had to do with the fact that there was some other folks living down several blocks away who had disabilities. And the zoning law stated that you can't have people with disabilities living within a certain distance of each other.
That's crazy. I know Individual Advocacy Group has worked very hard to make sure people understand and the communities understand that sometimes, yes, okay, a person with some psychological or neurological disorders or behavioral disorders, they may make a mistake. They can have, an outburst or something, but they deserve a second chance, right?
Absolutely. And there's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
These are human beings. And so many of the folks that we support are so happy to be productive members of society. They want to contribute. They want to make a difference. In fact, many of the people that we support have started their own businesses.
Tell me a little bit. You have one group of guys that did so recently, right?
Yes.
Talk about that.
So we have two gentlemen, by the way, who were part of that discriminatory lawsuit, and we won and changed the federal law with that, who started their own snack shack business. And so they decided to pull their monies together and buy snacks, offer opportunities for people to come in and buy their snacks, and it's kind of grown, and it's created the opportunity for them to make their own money and be businessmen in addition.
How about those communities that you go into and you help them understand that these people can really contribute if you just give them a chance? Tell me a little bit about, the naysayers, or maybe a story about somebody who you changed their heart.
I think once you get to know who a person is and you get to form a relationship with someone, and when those relationships develop where you can really recognize this is just a great person, a human being who may have issues that need support, but there's nothing to be afraid of. So we've had neighbors in certain areas that we have people living where the neighbors were a little skeptical. Our folks made cookies, brought them over. They got to know who these folks were. The next thing you know, they became neighbors together. Our individuals have offered to help them, during the fall with leaves, do other things just to contribute. And so I think that's a great example of what happens when you get to know somebody. Fear goes away.
Fear goes away, absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest problems is fear, ignorance, sometimes hate, but most of the time it's just mostly fear. I bet a lot of people don't know the breadth and scope of what you really get involved in, especially the fact that you have employees that work for you. These aren't volunteers, they're employees, right?
They're employees.
But I bet you they're not on the highest pay scale level.
Exactly.
Working with some really difficult situations,
Exactly.
right? Talk a little bit about the breadth of the situations that you work with.
We support people, and I don't always talk about that. We also work with youth between the ages of 18 and 22 who've had some of the most traumatic histories of significant abuse, neglect, youth that have actually been trafficked, youth that have been so demoralized, and we start supporting them at 18 years old.
And people don't understand that these children end up with severe psychological
Montel, beyond severe. Can you imagine what your life is like when the people that were supposed to protect you early on were the people that abused you? And then they're in the system. And sometimes systems don't always do the best either. And so when people come to us, they've had a life of hopelessness. And to try to take that situation to help someone have hope for their life, for their future. And it takes really well-trained, very skilled employees. And in our industry, there is a huge employee shortage. It's not the sexiest thing for someone to enter. The pay is not always the best. But here we are supporting people that need tons of help and support, and then staff who are some of the most caring, most wonderfully talented human beings, and the pay is very challenging for people.
And Doc, I know you're the type that won't ask for the help that you need, but you do survive not only from Medicaid, but you survive from donations, correct?
That's right.
Talk us about it. Tell people what they need to do.
Well, I'll tell you what I would love
Sure.
is to provide and get any kind of support to provide more incentives for employees. You know, we started last year a giving program. So if some of our employees were in need themselves, we with some of the funds that we had, offered them a grant, because you know you have to have security in your life to help somebody else. If there was any help we can get, it would be to fund a grant to support the wonderful staff that are doing this work.
And if people went up on your website, which is?
IAGcares.org.
They'll find a block or something there where they can actually donate to the staff, right?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible work you're doing, for sure. And of course, if you want more information about this, you can go up on our website, thebouncingAct.com. Doc, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what you do. Yes, ma'am, for sure. Thanks so much for joining us on this local edition of The Bouncing Act. We'll see you next time.